All right, so I kind of burned through this book today. So yeah, another book sent to me by my friend Chris. Thank you as always, brother. And today we're going to be talking about Universal Monsters: The Mummy. I had to read it as soon as possible. You know me; I'm a Universal Monsters enthusiast, and I've been, for the most part, enjoying these Universal Monster books from Skybound. Dracula was great. Creature from the Black Lagoon Lives is not great. That's what happens when you have three writers on the comic. But Frankenstein, for me, it was like the top of the mountain. So where does this sit for me? If I was to rank them, this would probably be third place, if I'm being honest. But that's not to say it's awful. I think there's a lot good. There's a lot of good here, and there's stuff we need to talk about and discuss. But this is not a bad book. This is written by Faith Erin Hicks, who has done some horror books here and there, but more like young adult horror, like kind of like some you'd see in like Goosebumps or something like that. But she's also been writing a lot of the Avatar: Last Airbender comics for Dark Horse. So it's kind of an out of left field pick, but I do appreciate when they give writers like this good work. And we have artwork by Lee Loughridge. Hope I'm saying that last name right. And trust me, we're going to talk a lot about Lee in a second. But yeah, so for those who are wondering, these Universal Monster comics are basically either sequels or sister stories to the original the original films. This one, however, is kind of different. It tries to be a sister book, prequel, and kind of a reboot. It actually feels more of a reboot than anything else, well, with a little bit of a sister comic. And what I mean by that is, this comic focuses more on Helen, the character of Helen, because remember, this is not the Brendan Fraser movies, it's not Evie, this is Helen from the original Boris Karloff mummy. Remember that. So, this focuses more on Helen, who in here, we do know that in this comic, Helen, if you've seen the movie as a whole, the Mummy movie itself is kind of boring. It's not a favorite for a lot of people. Oh yes, it's atmospheric, and Boris Karloff kills it as Imhotep. But everything about that movie is skippable, incredibly skippable. I think it does have a lot of merit. It's atmospheric, again, Karloff, but outside of that, it feels like a retread of Dracula, and also. The character of Dr. Baldwin is also a good stand-up. But everyone else here just all the characters are kind of bland, especially the main character of Helen. So Hicks basically makes this about her and gives her a character. The other thing is, too, in the movie it's stated that she's half Egyptian, where in the movie, it's it's just said she's half Egyptian. Here, Hicks changes it, so Helen is actually now more Egyptian. She is of half British descent, and does now, they changed a bit of the ethnicity to give her more, because it's like, yeah, she's supposed to be half Egyptian, she should look more Egyptian. Although you can make the argument, so was Evie and Jonathan in the remake, but they look more Caucasian. Genetics are funny like that. Here, Helen has more of an identity to her. It really does feel like Hicks gives her more of an identity, and also dealing with the crisis of having past lives. She is the reincarnation of Anaxamun, and in this version, Helen is actually connected to Anaxamun, and they both have a communication between each other in the comic, like they're both talking to each other. It also does a good amount of also talk about colonialism, where her mother is like, I want you to be British like your father, and these are our people, and if you want to be treated in British society, you got to act a certain way. I like how again, I think the high point is giving Helen a lot more to do in here. The mummy, Imhotep himself, is kind of like the monster in the shadow, which is again how he is in the movie. And they actually give a lot to because again, the Mummy at its core is kind of a dark romance story. And they actually I give this to Hicks, is that she actually showcases Anaxamun's and Imhotep's, a bit of their relationship and what Imhotep had to do to, try to resurrect her. And we also give a lot more character, or just a little bit more character, to the character of Frank, who is Helen's love interest in the movie. Frank and Helen were just bland as a board. Because it's no secret that the actress who played Helen, Zeta Jones, I believe her name was, did not give a single shit about this movie. She was more of a theater actress. She was more of theater, and she didn't really care much for moving picture movies. Here, there's a lot more character to this Helen and this version of Frank. Although this is more of Helen's story than anything else. But now you see, like, okay, I can see why this Helen liked this Frank. The problem is that this feels a little too young adult, like a young adult comic, especially when it comes to some of the dialogue of like, oh, he's cute and all that. And there's just the art itself by Lee Loughridge. Again, I apologize if I'm butchering the last name, but the problem is that the comic itself, it just feels a little too YA in terms of art. I mean, look at that. That's Imhotep in the opening scene, the big scene that this movie's known for. And I don't get this, or like, at least even with Creature from the Black Lagoon Lives, all of the art in here invokes this aura of that's a monster. Like, that is something you should fear. Here, I'm like, oh, there he is. There's the mummy. It's the same thing when he's having the Ardeth Bay connection. I mean, the identity. Excuse me. Yeah, the artwork really kind of kills a lot of it, but I think the story actually helps. I think the story gives a lot because, again, there was nothing for Helen. There was nothing for Frank. Again, if your name wasn't Boris Karloff, you were bland as a fucking board in that movie. But I will say this comic does, again, the dialogue itself is more like YA, feels more YA, and again, it makes sense. That's what Faith Erin Hicks is known for. But it's not a nod because a lot of the origin stuff is pretty cool. It's just when we get further into what is supposed to be the movie itself, I feel like it doesn't gel well. So I still kind of like it, though. I still like what it does for the character of Helen, even though the horror stuff feels few and far between. It's not bad. I definitely think if I reread it more, I'll probably enjoy it a little more. But this feels like the most young adult version of it. Like, there is some gore there, especially towards the end with Imhotep. And yeah, I also appreciate that because the original 1930s movie is kind of racist. It was of its time. It was very of its time. It's not an excuse, but it was very of its time. So we actually have one character who's just called the Nubian. I'm not joking. That's literally the character's name, the Nubian, who was walking around all shirtless and a mute African American. Here, they actually give that character a change and give him some kind of characterization of why he's serving Imhotep. And also, again, we talk about a bit about colonialization and the British's impact on Egypt and how poorly it was. So I do appreciate that. Yeah, I think it's okay. I think it's a solid 3 out of 5 book. Definitely liked it more than Creature. I still cannot get over of how much I dislike Creature from the Black Lagoon Lives. There's some solid horror in that comic. There is great artwork, but holy Jesus, is that story all over the place. I still think Frankenstein is the best. I will say, I still think, but Dracula is a close second. It could easily slip between the two. But, however, that might change because when it comes out in trade, because I am reading these in trade, the next Universal Monster comic that will be coming out in trade is James Tynion's The Invisible Man. And The Invisible Man is my favorite of the Universal Monster movies. And James Tynion is a great horror writer. He killed it on Dracula, and I can't wait to see this. And then following that will be Phantom of the Opera. So I'm really excited for those. This one is okay. I think it's fine. Also, I still can't get over. I love these hardback trades for these Universal Monster books. But yeah, Chris, thank you once again. And if you've read Universal Monsters, The Mummy, let me know in the comments below what you guys thought of it. Comment below, let me know. Other than that, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.